Dugtrio has a history of being outright banned in singles, but has yet to see any success in doubles. But here we give every Pokemon an honest shot. So on this week's team challenge, we are making the ultimate Dugtrio team. They say limitations foster creativity, so let's answer. Can we break competitive doubles using Dugtrio? Hyperbole aside, we need to go over a couple ground rules for this challenge. 1. The entire team must revolve around Dugtrio in some way. 2. I have to use Dugtrio in every match. And 3. I have to go undefeated 5 games in a row. These rules are hindering, but that's why it's a challenge. By the end of this challenge, we will be able to give Dugtrio an official rating of effectiveness. So let's begin. We first need to see what sets Dugtrio apart. It's the fastest ground type and has the ability Arena Trap. That means non-flying and ghost type Pokemon cannot switch out. Our team will be built around this ability. Dugtrio will act either as a supporter or an offensive Pokemon depending on the opposing team. Against slower teams, Dugtrio will lead with a strong Bulldoze, letting his partner attack right after. We're matching him with Choice Specs Rotom for the perfect synergy. Dugtrio is immune to Rotom's Discharge, Rotom is immune to Dugtrio's Bulldoze and Earthquakes. Against faster threats that Dugtrio can outspeed, we are using Grimmsnarl. With Fake Out and the ability Prankster, Grimmsnarl is able to move first and set up Dugtrio for a KO. Dugtrio will run Stone Edge and Terra-type Rock to one-hit KO all these faster threats. In the back, we have Salamence and Gyarados. Their Intimidate abilities are especially useful when the opponent can no longer switch out of the barrage of stat drops, and they are flying type, letting them ignore Bulldoze's speed drops. Salamence runs Draco Meteor Eject Pack to switch back to Grimmsnarl or Rotom, Grimmsnarl runs Parting Shot, and Rotom runs Volt Switch for a quick switch back to the Intimidators. Slowking is tacked on simply to hard counter some common special attackers, and has Regenerator, a great ability for a switch heavy team. Game 1, I start with my main game plan, Fake Out to Stone Edge for a quick KO. The Goldango goes for Nasty Plot, which is great for me as I get good damage on it with Earthquake. He trades my Gyarados for his Dragonite, and at this point I'm sleeping, but his remaining Pokemon is so weak by the Intimidates, it doesn't really matter, and I take my first win. This lead, I really did not know what to expect, but I did know Jolteon was trapped, but I soon realized that Dunsparce is getting powered up, and goes for a gigantic Boom Burst. But that's alright, Jolteon also got knocked out, and my Focus Sash does trigger. The Intimidates will take care of Tinkaton, he trades his Ceruledge for my Dugtrio, so with the Terra-type still Salamence and the barrage of stat drops, there's no way for my opponent to close the game, giving me my second win.
The roar of the crowd signals the start of the 3rd round.
This next game really shows the power of Arena Trap and how it's really good against offensive teams. See, they can't pivot out if they get stuck in a really bad situation. Dundunzo is also stuck out there without the support of his little fish friend, and the Intimidate spam eventually wins me the game. But that's nothing compared to the tomfoolery I'm about to pull. This next team is a Hyper Trick Room team, so knowing that, I start with Rotom and trick my specs onto this Giraffe. Now this Giraffe is forced to use Trick Room again, wasting turns pulling up the Trick Room and putting it back down. And with Arena Trap, there's no way to switch out of this situation. There's not much they could do after that.
This is it, the final battle.
And finally, after many attempts, I made it to Game 5. This final battle is actually against a team similar to Wolfie's recent regional win. I actually feel like I have a good matchup going in. Bulldoze to Discharge would take care of the Palafin before I even had a chance to switch out, but my opponent does a great job dealing with the situation. They protect the Jet Punch, taking my Dugtrio out in the process. But I'm still in the lead as Discharge takes out Palafin. I was deciding who to send out next, but Gyarados turned out to be the obvious pick here. Then they sent out Screamtail, which I had a hunch they would, and I know this thing will run Perish Song. I decided to switch to Salamence because of this, and I know Salamence could take a Play Rough after 2 Intimidates. And there's the Perish Song right on cue, so now I know I can Draco Meteor right back to Rotom, removing the effect. I do, however, debate for a long time whether I should Terra my Gyarados to Grass to protect it from Spore. I have a feeling it's coming, but then I realize I do have Salamence to Terra still. Then there's not really a way for them to take out the Salamence besides the Perish Song. So Rotom comes in, and I know I want to Trick. This is so I can Volt Switch out of Perish Song if need be, but in hindsight, I was giving Perish Song way too much respect. Honestly, it was a pretty useless trick. I just knew there was no way for this team to deal with my Terra Still Salamence otherwise. So I do Terra Still right in front of Arcanine, but I was assuming either my Rotom would outspeed Arcanine, or Arcanine wouldn't do a whole lot of damage after Intimidate. But it doesn't matter as they switch out anyways. Among Us comes in and lives with 1 HP, which sucks, but after seeing the Terra Still, they do forfeit. I did manage 5 games in a row, but what you don't see is all the failed attempts. The Terra Rock to Stone Edge thing can work in some situations, but really it's too much resources for that 1 KO, and of course Stone Edge can miss. So if I didn't have to use Dugtrio in every single team, he's actually pretty good. He's really good against threats that are slower or middle of the road. So I give Dugtrio a 7 out of 10, but I might be a little biased. Thanks for watching.
Have a shot.